like ask you a little bit about like what it's like coming into the current team, like in this setup with the veterans on the team, and then ask you a little bit about the championship and like how that's impacting you too. But so to start
Yeah, for
things
sure.
off, of course, you get drafted from Oregon. You have like a very prolific career there, but you come in with a bunch of veterans in a locker room and coming into a new team. What was that transition like coming from the NCAA level to the NWSL level?
I feel like it was definitely more mature in
Yeah.
ways. It was kind of scary in the beginning just because, one, I'm from Hawaii, two, I'm from Oregon. We've never made it to the tournament, like, sadly.
Hmm.
So I've never been a part of like a very like winning environment, I guess. And all these girls have been there. They've been at the highest levels. They've been on like national teams. We are the US, Canadian girls. But everyone was just very welcoming in the beginning. And so I feel like it wasn't too crazy of a transition, but uh, it was just, I thought it was like good. The culture here is great. So it's
Yeah, and
been
like
pretty easy.
you've obviously found a spot in the roster and everything too, so that has to make things a little easier.
Yeah. In the beginning, it was going well. And then my role kind of changed, which was good. I mean, like I'm learning a lot from it. Just a little different, but still having fun. So that's what matters most.
Right. Was there like, did you have any idea that like Casey was looking at you? Did you have like conversations before the draft, or was it kind of a surprise when you figured out you were coming to Casey?
um, my draft day was actually like very funny. One, I was not even gonna enter the draft, so
Hmm.
that was just a whole lot. And then on draft day, I had talked to a few teams, and like I kind of knew when I was being picked. And then it was funny because I was supposed to go with Chicago, the pick after Casey. So I was like, all right, getting ready to set up the cameras, whatever, but like, this is me. And then out of nowhere, I got the phone call. And I was like, who the heck? Like, who's calling me? Like, I don't know this area code, nothing.
Some
And
816
then,
number.
yes. And then when I was getting drafted, there was a commercial on. So I didn't even know that I was up. And then I ended up obviously answering the phone, and they're like, "Hi, like this is Hugh, like this is Hugh from Kansas City," and I'm like, "Cool." Like, I didn't know what to say, obviously, but I just didn't know I was getting picked up by them. I never spoke to them. I didn't know they were aware of who I was and whatnot. So it was like all a surprise.
Yeah, that's incredibly interesting. That's fun to hear. Like I'm sure like just throws you completely off your rhythm for draft day then.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was a crazy draft day experience.
So moving forward a little bit, so you get into the team, your role changes over the course of the year, but you still see minutes in like very important games, especially in the playoffs. Like how has that been like being kind of, I don't want to use the word like impact sub necessarily, but that's kind of the role that you have these days. Like what's that kind of been being someone who has been relied on in like important minutes in that way?
Yeah, I mean, at first it was kind of um how do I explain this? Because I was like starting in the beginning,
Yeah,
and then I became like this game changer, what we call us.
I like that
So
word.
at
Yeah.
first it was just like, oh, like obviously I need to work harder. Like there's something that I need to change to get on the field. And then as it became my role, I was just like, you know what, just accept this, and you need to do whatever you have to do for this team and just contribute in any way. And any minutes that I saw, I just try to take advantage of it and just do what I can for this team.
Yeah, I like the game changer attitude. I think that's a fun like way to look at it because that's like exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And then so going from that to like I've talked to Kristen Hamilton before and she talked about how like there was a like big meeting before the season. Everyone kind of like talked about their ambitions and like looking at the playoffs. Like how has like the overall team environment, like it seems like you guys keep things pretty loose, but how has it kind of adjusted as like the maybe the pressure ramps up a little bit throughout the season?
I think one thing about our team is like we no one business is business, but
Hmm.
we just always leave room to have fun. And I think that's probably one of our best traits is just even during serious moments, like we're still allowed to be ourselves and everyone's just so supportive of each other. And I could not tell you how fun this team is. Like I've been a part of many teams, but this team, the culture is just great. It's just have fun, do your part, and get things done. And that's pretty much what we have done.
yeah, like from the outside looking at it, it definitely looks like you guys like know when to turn it on, right? Like obviously it's super competitive on the field, but it almost seems like it's like play for you guys when you're out there.
Yeah, yeah, it's been great, and it's just been cool to see because, as you mentioned, like preseason, like this team has talked about a lot of things that they want to change, especially after how their season went
Yeah.
last year, and everything that they've talked about, everything that literally everything we discussed throughout season, like we've just been putting in the work, and we're just doing it. Like that's what I've been telling everybody in the media too. Like we've talked about it, and it's being done.
Just take care of business.
Right.
Chardonnay, I got to ask because I was watching TikTok the other day when Kate Del Fava had the mic'd up and I saw you whip out a bicycle kick. How often do you do that in practice?
I like to bring it out.
It was buried in the video.
I like to bring it out here and there. I don't want to show that yet.
It. Yeah.
But yeah, I have a few tricks up my sleeve. Just when I feel it and I feel it come naturally, like it just comes. Like I don't even plan for it. Like next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I'm on the ground, and I just do the bike.
No, I liked it. It was good. It was a nice surprise to see in the video.
Thank you. That's
yeah,
funny.
and then talking about recently, talking about your team environment, like obviously the big talking point this year has been the AIDS report, and that kind of dropped, as you were preparing for the playoffs. Like team environment wise, like I know KC is very player focused. Like how has that conversation been with like ownership and with the front office, like since the report came out in terms of like accountability and what the players are looking for really?
I mean, we obviously have our captains who are pretty much the messenger from both sides. But like whenever we have some sort of disagreement or we think that something should be better, like there are spokes people, and anytime we ask for something, we pretty much get, and we get more than we expected. And I just think our ownership they've done a great job at advocating for us women in general, not just for our team. And they just been investing so much of their time, their money. Just you can just tell that like they're very invested in us, and it feels great. Like knowing that we have owners like that. Like even just me personally, it's like, oh, I have another reason to work harder. Like I have another reason to do this, another reason to keep going, even during tough times. Like it's just a reminder. Like people are out here sacrificing their time, and they have their own family too. So I'm just like, I can always go harder. And our front office and our people behind the scenes, like our media team, like they're doing a great job. Like they show that we have just as much fun too. And
yeah,
I just think all around, like everyone being on the same page and everyone working together and just being able to distinguish like players, staff, when it's our time, when it's their time, when it's our time to mingle and join each other and just appreciate the things we've done together. It's been really nice.
Yeah, I was at the groundbreaking for the stadium, and like coming on the heels of the AIDS report, it was kind of like powerful when Angie Long got up there and talked. And
yeah, they're great people.
Yeah, it's very cool to see. Well, Chardonnay, I appreciate you hopping on and talking with me for a little bit.